Welcome to this explainer. Think for just a second about the sheer volume of data your organization collects every single day. If you're like most of us, it's probably massive, right? But here's a hard truth we're all quickly discovering. Simply storing information in endless spreadsheets or tables is definitely not the same as actually understanding it. You can have absolute mountains of data, but if your computer systems don't understand what that data means in the real world, you're missing out on some vital insights. So today, we're going to unlock how to give your data actual logical meaning.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll go from data to knowledge, look at the building blocks of ontology, cover making logical connections, building it in Protégé, the magic of reasoning, and wrap up with best practices for beginners. Let's dive right in.
Section 1, From Data to Knowledge.
To really understand why this shift matters, let's contrast a standard relational database with an ontology. A normal database might record students, courses, and lectures in neat little tables, or let's be honest, a chaotic web of folders, but it doesn't clearly explain how these elements are logically related to each other. An ontology, on the other hand, gives computers explicit meaning. It doesn't just store the data, it explains precise meanings, maps out complex relationships, and crucially, it allows the system to draw brand new conclusions from the information you already have. It's a real game changer.
So, what exactly is it? Well, an ontology is a formal, structured description of knowledge within a particular domain. It defines the important concepts, their characteristics, and the relationships connecting them together into a meaningful network. To make this super clear for us today, we are going to use a running example. We're going to map out the knowledge of a university domain.
Section 2, Building Blocks of Ontology.
Okay, let's meet the foundational building blocks of our university model: classes and individuals. Grasping this distinction is absolutely key to building a good ontology. A class represents a broad category or a type of thing. Think student, lecturer, or course. An individual, however, is a specific, actual example of that class. So while student is the class, Aisha Khan is the individual. Course is the class, artificial intelligence is the individual. Make sense?
Furthermore, these classes don't just float around randomly. They stack into hierarchies. Everything starts at the very top with thing. Under that broad umbrella, we might have person. A subclass of person is student, and a subclass of student is postgraduate student. Because of this structured hierarchy, if we tell the system someone is a postgraduate student, it inherently knows they are also a student, and therefore, they are also a person. The computer instantly inherits all that broader meaning without us having to spell it out every single time.
Section 3, Making Logical Connections.
Having categories is great, but the crucial point is how we connect these isolated categories and individuals together to build a real network of meaning. And we do this using properties. There are two main types you need to know. First, object properties. These link an individual to another individual. For example, the individual Aisha Khan is connected to the individual artificial intelligence via the object property enrolled in. Then we have data properties. These link an individual to a literal value, like text or numbers. So Aisha Khan is connected to the text string STU1001 via the data property has student ID. This is exactly how we begin weaving our web of knowledge.
When setting up these properties, we define their domain and range. The domain is the expected starting class, and the range is the expected target. Let's take that enrolled in property we just talked about. The domain is student, and the range is course. Now, a very common beginner mistake is thinking this is just simple data validation, like a drop-down menu on a website. It's not. In ontologies, this creates logical inferences. If our system sees that an individual uses the enrolled in property, it automatically infers that the starting individual absolutely must be a student and the target must be a course.
Section 4, Building it in Protégé.
Protégé is a free visual ontology editor that lets us build these complex knowledge structures without having to manually write a single line of code. It's incredibly powerful. Here is a highly condensed, step-by-step workflow for how you actually build this out. First, you define your purpose and the questions your ontology needs to answer. Second, you visually build your classes and that hierarchy. Third, you add your object and data properties. Fourth, you create your specific individuals and assert their relationships. And finally, you add logical restrictions and run the reasoner.
Let's touch quickly on those logical restrictions. Protégé uses something called Manchester OWL syntax to set strict logical requirements. For instance, you can apply a restriction to the postgraduate student class that says, enrolled in some course. By applying this, you are asserting a strict rule that every single postgraduate student must be enrolled in at least one course. It's a statement that is always intended to be true for members of that class, ensuring our whole model stays logically sound.
Section 5. The magic of reasoning.
All right, we have reached the climax of our explainer. All this setup begs a pivotal question. How does our ontology actually generate brand new insights entirely on its own? Well, it does this through Protégé's reasoner tool, which essentially acts as an automated logical brain for your data.
Let's look at how the reasoner processes rules. We can set up a logical condition in the system that looks like this. If a person is a postgraduate student and that person is enrolled in a research methods course, then they are classified as a research student. We are giving the reasoner the exact conditions needed to infer entirely new classifications on the fly.
And here is where it builds into an amazing aha moment. Imagine we manually input, or assert, two facts. Aisha is a postgraduate student, and she is enrolled in advanced research methods. When the reasoner runs, boom, the system automatically generates inferred knowledge. It tags Aisha as a research student all on its own. You never had to manually categorize her as a research student. The system reasoned it out based on the logic we provided. This right here proves the massive transformative power of ontologies over standard, rigid databases.
Section 6. Best practices for beginners.
Before you go off and build your own, here's an essential checklist to help avoid cognitive overload. First, it helps to always start by clearly defining your domain and writing out the questions you want the ontology to answer. Second, try creating your entire class hierarchy before you start adding specific individuals. Third, it's a really good idea to use consistent naming conventions, no messy capitalization or spacing. And finally, run that reasoner regularly as you build. Waiting until the end usually leads to a massive tangle of logical errors that can be incredibly tough to untangle.
Oh, and one of the most common pitfalls to watch out for is confusing a class with an individual. Remember, Aisha Khan is not a class. She is a specific individual within the student class. By keeping your categories broad and your individual specific, your reasoning engine will work perfectly.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If simply storing data isn't the same as understanding it, what hidden knowledge is your organization's data just waiting to reveal? Once you start structuring your data with explicit meaning, the possibilities for automated insights are truly endless. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the fascinating world of